I remember back in the day, I was at a really awkward age where the likes of Ed, Edd n Eddy, Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Laboratory, etc. just wasn't cutting it for me anymore. I loved them, but I was needing more mature content to watch, and I'm not talking about a bit of Willie Thorne either. I was now at an age where I was discovering Jackass, Viva La Bam, Dirty Sanchez, which meant because of the times it was shown at in the UK I'd have to wait until everyone in the house was asleep, grab my covers, sneak into the living room where we had Sky set up and stay up all night to watch these shows. TV at that time of night was an eye-opener for me to say the very least. It was because of this I found a whole host of TV shows I couldn't get enough of, one being World's Most Wildest Police videos. Apart from wrestling and the MTV shows I mentioned previously there, I'd never been exposed to over-the-top American reality TV before. This show absolutely blew my mind though. Crazy police chases, on foot and in car, and even helicopters. Car crashes, tyres being blown out, and I believe this was the first time I also seen someone legit having a gun pulled out on them. No wonder I've grown up most of my life thinking America is absolutely insane. Later on down the road they'd revisit the show in 2012 for one season, which I never knew about until researching for this video. The show was presented by a former American sheriff named John Bunnell. He also done commentary over the footage and made the show a whole lot more intense than it already was. There's just something about this guy, whenever I seen him on TV I just had a weird feeling that something was about to go down. The show itself was a huge success, and what better way to cash in on it than to bring out a video game adaptation of the show. So let's see if they can replicate this over the top show in game format. Here it is, World's Scariest Police Chases for the PlayStation 1 console. I hope you enjoy.
Due to the graphic nature of this game, player discretion is advised.
World's Scariest Police Chases was released in June of 2001 for the Sony PlayStation 1 console, developed by Unique Development Studios and published by Activision. Why it wasn't released for the massively popular newer PlayStation 2 console at the time? I'll never know. I think because of this it was automatically compared to the earlier driver games that had a huge fan base at this point already. They may look alike, but this game offers a whole different take on the action driving genre. Upon starting the game you have a few options to choose from. We'll take a look at the main story mode, as here is where the main selling point of the game lies. After choosing a ridiculous name you're good to go. The game is cut up into 20 missions. The first 4 are set in the academy, which you'll need to pass to get your sheriff's badge so you can dish out justice, law and order in the city of Ashford, which is a real place by the way. It's here in the academy that you will learn the basic mechanics of the game, like how to drive and also how to aim and use your weapons. I find it pretty worrying that they teach you how to use the guns before finding out for yourself how to put the sirens on. After you finish the academy missions, the game begins to open up a bit and starts to replicate the show more. Before each mission you get a cutscene giving you the rundown of what's happening, just like the TV show, with Sheriff John Bunnell narrating over the top of it.
A 3-martini lunch has escalated into a boozed-up joyride through a peaceful residential neighborhood. With school out and children at play, police must respond quickly to prevent a terrible tragedy from taking place. There is no room for error when innocent lives are at stake.
Each mission varies. In one you may be chasing down a driver who's under the influence, a bus that an angry employee of the company has gone rogue in, gangbangers pushing drugs on the streets, and a mission where you need to take down a tank. Yes, a bloody tank, I ain't joking. Each mission is different, but the outcome is more or less the same. Chase the suspect down by any means necessary. This involves shooting them with guns until you max out their damage meter indicated by the bar at the bottom of the screen. When the red bar is full, you've dealt enough damage for them to stop. There is also a blue bar which, from what I gathered, is an intimidation meter of some kind that if you have your sirens on and follow close behind, once full they just give up and pull over. During missions you're also racing against the clock too. Once you get a rundown for your mission, you'll usually have a timer that you have to beat by reaching the suspect in that given time. This timer will go away once you have caught up with them though. The timer can be a serious pain in the arse at times though. Like halfway through a chase, the suspect will throw evidence out of the window that may be drugs or a weapon. You'll be notified on the police radio that you'll have to go and retrieve the evidence once you have apprehended the suspect. But once you've done that, a timer restarts again and you have to make sure you retrieve the evidence in that given time. I just don't understand why they've done this. It's maybe to keep the tempo up along with the intensity, but guess what? If you fail to reach the evidence in time, you have to restart the mission from the beginning. This can be absolutely torture if at the start of the mission you have to drive for ages to even reach them in the first place. There was one point the game was against me too. I caught a suspect, I had to then retrieve some evidence, but look how slow the game was going. That's not fair at all, resulting in me having to start the bloody mission again. There is no checkpoints at all during a single mission. It's either finish it in a oneer or nothing at all, which can be really tedious at times, especially in the mission entitled Drug Smuggling Scum. Your main objective is to tail a car, which feels like forever. I mean, come on, who actually enjoys any kind of tailing missions in any game? They are so boring, and unlike most games where the only time they stop is for traffic lights, this prick just randomly stops at times for no reason. Once you see the deal go down, the real pursuit begins, where the aim is to take the suspect out. Halfway through, he lobs some evidence out the car, and like I said before, once you bring the suspect to a stop, then you go and retrieve the evidence. But there is a timer. No joke, I failed this a few times due to the timer, and guess what? I had to do the whole tailing thing again. It was absolutely brutal. It's like you're being punished for doing the objective, because no matter how far away you are from the evidence, the timer is always the same, so you better take down the suspect as soon as possible if you have any hopes of collecting the evidence in time and progressing to the next mission. Here's another crap experience I had during the mission, Race Against Death. You have to escort an ambulance through rush hour traffic because the patient in the back is bleeding to death. You are given an incredibly tight amount of time to reach the ambulance before the escort even begins. I made it with literally less than a second to spare. For some reason, the ambulance has a hard time keeping up and seems to crash at every given chance. I was getting heart palpitations every time I heard the sound of a crash coming from behind.
Step on it, the patient is fading.
There is a meter you have to pay attention to at the side of the screen, letting you know how either close the ambulance is to you or how far away it is. Getting too far away will result in the ambulance coming to a complete standstill and you have to go back for it. You also have to be careful taking tight corners too, because if you go in for the turn narrowly touching a wall or pole, the ambulance will just crash into it. It's almost like it follows the exact path you take. Fucking hell, come on! Are you actually having a laugh? We're on a bloody timer here, get a move on! Now I know it probably sounds like I'm ripping the game a new one here, but those were just a few rubbish moments I had within a game that's fairly enjoyable if I'm honest. The controls are easy to grasp and the parts when you're shooting at suspects is really fun. Depending on the mission, you get a few different guns to choose from with a set amount of ammo for each one. You scroll through the guns by tapping L1 while the left analog stick is used for aiming. It does it automatically for you, aiming at the closest object. Just make sure you don't lock onto an innocent civilian's car by mistake. From here you press R1 to fire the weapons. With a control scheme like this, it makes it incredibly easy for the player to drive and shoot at the same time, which is perfect, because for the most part when you catch up to a suspect you'll always want to shoot them out. There's times when you need to be tactical too, like the mission where you need to take down a tank. You'll want to approach this mission with caution because obviously a tank takes quite a lot of damage and the tank itself has rockets flying from it. You'll need to get your shots in whilst also dodging rockets at the same time. The controls just make this enjoyable to do, so you're not fighting against the actual game itself. The graphics are also great for the time. Like I said, it's based in the real city of Ashford. I haven't been there personally, so I can't say if they've done a good job capturing the real place, but it looks fantastic in game. While you drive through the city, it loads in real time, so expect buildings and signs to pop onto the screen out of nowhere in the distance while approaching them. It's charm like this with older games I genuinely like to see. Once you have completed the campaign and get your badge of honour from John Bunnell himself, you can try out free patrol mode, or as I like to call it, bully boy mode. Here you choose from a bunch of cars that you unlock by playing through the campaign. It sounds exactly as the modes suggest it is. You're just patrolling the streets and taking people down. Sometimes you get a shout on the radio informing you of some illegal activity, and other times they just appear out of nowhere. What did they do? Why am I shooting at them? Who knows, but it's a nice little arcade mode. You get a score at the end of your run. Your run will end when your car has taken too much damage. The game was met with mixed reviews on launch. I'm not too sure what people would have been expecting from this though. It does exactly what it says on the box. I do think this game would have been a lot bigger if it was available for the PS2, or even if it had come out a wee bit before the launch of the PlayStation 2. It was overshadowed sadly and left floating in mid-air while players were playing on a newer console at the time. I did find online that there was apparently a sequel in the works for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox at the time, but it was cancelled. Sadly, I cannot find any other information on this, but would have loved to have seen what that could have been like. However, I definitely suggest giving this a bash if you haven't played it already. It may have a few minor issues here and there, but you never know, you might just find that hidden gem you've been looking for. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. It helps grow my channel a bit and reach a wider audience. Also, if you have played this game yourself, I'd love to hear your personal memories from it, past and present, down in the comments section below. Thanks for watching and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye.